Well folks, it's that time of the year. The time where I, Karsten Runquist, give you my top 10 films of 2018. 2017 was a really good year for film, so imagine being 2018 and having to follow that up. A lot of dark stuff this year, gotta say, and you know what, I can't wait to get into it. This year I saw 65 movies, which is a good amount, but not as much as I would have wanted to. I tried to fit in as many as I could, but being that I'm a YouTube college student, that's kind of what I got. I didn't see everything, and you might wonder why I even bothered putting this list out without having seen everything, and it's because I like to put lists out before the end of the year, and that's just how I run things. The following are films I felt as though could have made it on here had I seen them, in case you're wondering why they're not on the list. As I begin to catch up and watch these films in the coming weeks, if they happen to slip their way into this list, I'll be updating the list in the comment section. And with that out of the way, let's get on with the show. But before we get into the top 10, let's show some love to the honorable mentions. These films were fantastic. I loved them so much that of course they deserve to be in the video, but unfortunately they just weren't worthy of the top 10. My honorable mentions for 2018 are Hereditary, Wildlife, Paddington 2, Beautiful Boy, Blind Spotting, Widows, and Isle of Dogs. Alright, cool, everybody's pretty offended already? Let's get on with the list. Shoplifters is one of my favorite foreign films of the year. It's about what happens when a family of shoplifters take in a child they find out in the cold. This thing is absolutely beautiful. It has so many layers to it, it's worth tons of rewatches, it's shot incredibly well, and there's something about it that just has you on the edge of your seat the entire time. I was genuinely entertained and in my feelings throughout this film, so you know what, you should probably check it out as well. Damien Chazelle continues his hot streak with First Man, one of the most interesting films I saw this year. I was engaged with this film from start to finish thanks to some great performances by Ryan Gosling and Claire Foy, some stellar direction, and some really unique but engaging cinematography. It's a very memorable film, and it's very similar to a lot of what I saw this year because I really just haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Do I like it as much as Damien's previous work? Not at the moment, but maybe it'll grow on me. Regardless, I just cannot wait to watch this thing again. Barry Jenkins is the filmmaker behind one of my top 5 films of all time, Moonlight, and his latest film, If Beale Street Could Talk, is one of the best I saw this year. This man knows how to create an immersive experience, but most importantly, he knows how to make it beautiful. He brings out the beauty in everyday life in such subtle ways using a variety of different visual techniques. The performances are so realistic, the editing is so smooth. If this film was a food, it'd be butter because goddamn. And I can't talk about this thing without mentioning the score, which is easily my pick for the best score of the year. While this film may not be as fragile and consistent as Moonlight, it is very clearly a Barry Jenkins film, and that's a good-ass film to be. Into the Spider-Verse is easily my favorite animated film of the year. I wanted it to be Isle of Dogs so bad, and then this thing came swinging out of nowhere. No, I get it, because Spider-Man. I've wanted to talk about this movie since I got out of the theater, basically. The animation is stunning, unique, exciting, colorful. It's everything, really. I'm not a diehard Spider-Man fan, but this film makes me want to be a diehard Spider-Man fan. It's everything I love in a superhero movie. I do have some flaws with it that, when looking back, are pretty big flaws, but the great thing about this movie is that the entertainment and the animation, oh my god, the animation, it just makes up for it. It makes these small little flaws seem so pointless. It feels dumb to dock a film for stuff like that when in the grand scheme of things, this is such an important film for not only the animation industry, but for the superhero genre as well. Oh my god, I can finally talk about Mandy. Mandy is, without a doubt, the most original film I saw this year. It's one of the many films this year that I feel like not enough people saw, but that a lot of people heard about. It's basically everything you've heard of. It's batshit crazy, it has chainsaws, it has cocaine, it has Nick Cage with chainsaws and cocaine, it has religious stuff, it has amazing production design, it has a beautiful score, beautiful cinematography. Oh my god, this film is so beautifully dark, and again, unique. I hate being that guy that says this, but this film is such an experience, and I mean it. It feels less like a movie and more like a whole world in itself. Panos, the director, made a film so unique and bizarre, and to see something like this that pushes boundaries the way it does, it makes me super excited for the future of filmmaking. It is clearly not a film for everyone, but I genuinely encourage anyone who has an interest in filmmaking to check it out. Here we are with another film that really went under a lot of people's radars, and it's called At Eternity's Gate. This is a film where you're basically put into the mind of Vincent van Gogh, who is played by none other than Willem Dafoe, an actor who proves in this film that he is one of the best actors working today. This film uses every aspect of visual storytelling to the fullest. It experiments, it pays tribute, it uses sound, visuals, color, everything to its fullest potential. It is, to put it simply, the ultimate tribute to art. It's very abstract, and at times doesn't even feel like a movie. movie, and I think that's what I love about it. It takes a lot of risks and thinks outside of the box the same way Vincent van Gogh would. It's a perfect depiction of Van Gogh, so perfect that the general criticism that I've heard about the film is similar to the criticism Van Gogh receives in the actual movie, which I think is pretty silly. Yorgos Lanthimos is one of the most exciting directors working today, and he managed to put out maybe his best work this year, and it's called The Favorite. The Favorite is incredibly smart, funny, dark, sad. It is so many things. Yorgos makes films with really good endings, and this one is no exception. In my initial review for this film on Letterboxd, I stated that maybe the ending was so good that it could have distracted me from earlier scenes in the film that I thought were just okay. But the more that I think about it, the more I realize that this entire film works incredibly well when you look at it as a whole, which is, you know, how films should be looked at. It's so well paced, and the way that he builds tension throughout the film is just masterfully done. Not to mention all three lead performances, which definitely all deserve Oscars in my opinion, specifically Olivia Colman. I'm telling you, Yorgos is probably the best filmmaker working today. He has an incredibly unique way of telling stories, and this might just be the one that'll get him that Oscar. Finally, an easy-to-watch movie on the list. Yes, 8th Grade was one of the most entertaining movies I saw this year, and I definitely say it's the most rewatchable. It's one of those that has no flaws in my opinion, and that I can recommend to essentially everybody that I know, and at the same time connect with on a very deep level. To me, that's incredibly rare. It's rare that I find a film that's so deep and personal, yet so entertaining and accessible. I have revisited the film twice since my initial review back in April, and honestly, it's just still such a 5 out of 5 for me. To be honest, there's not much to say that hasn't already been said or that you can find in my video for it, so I'll just leave it at that. Alright, so here we are with the top 2 films of 2018. These were very hard to pick between. I stressed about it for a very long time, and I loved both of these movies so much, and they both feel equally significant to the film industry and today's world. So without any further ado, I'll shut up with it. Here's number 2. All year, I've been telling friends, family, and fans, just wait for my top 10 list. That's when I'll fully go into it. I have resisted going off about my full thoughts on First Reformed till this moment, so I guess I'll just do that now. First Reformed is one of the best movies I've ever seen and probably will ever see. I first saw it back in May, and I can't say there's been a day since where I haven't thought about it. I can't really say I've had a film impact me this intensely before. The storytelling is perfectly paced, leading up to one of my favorite endings of the year. The visuals are incredibly beautiful, yet cold and unsettling. The performances. I mean, if Ethan Hawke isn't nominated for Best Actor this year, I suggest you stay the fuck away from me when they make that announcement. It's a film that feels so important and like a career's worth of training from both Paul Schrader and Ethan Hawke that has led to this very moment. And on top of all this, I think it's the most important film of the year. There was no film that came out this year that felt more 2018, more necessary than this. It is such a masterpiece that will haunt you for days after seeing it, which is incredibly important when dealing with the subject matter that this film is addressing. Each time I watch it, I pick up on something new. I pick up on a new line that gives the film a whole new meaning. I really could just go on and on about this film, but to me, it feels like one that can only be explained and understood if you actually watch it, so I'll just shut up. God damn, this movie is so good. So yeah, you're probably thinking, well, nothing can top that, but man, somehow something did. You may already know what it is I'm talking about, so you know what, I'll just get on with it. Folks, my favorite film of the year is Roma. I mean, like, where do I even start? I guess I'll just start with the fact that there was no way this film couldn't be number 1. I mean, after thinking about it for a while, I realized this is just very clearly the best movie of the year. This movie did something truly magical, where it made me feel so far from reality and so immersed in the filmmaking in this world, but it also felt incredibly authentic. Like, it feels crazy to me that this was a film, you know, not just a bunch of people and real events that were being filmed. It is without a doubt the best shot film of the year, there is no question about it. And while we're on the topic, I want to address something. I know that it's on Netflix, and if that's the only option you have to watch the film, I guess watch it on Netflix, but with really good speakers. But seriously, I encourage anyone who has the chance to see it in theaters to drive however long it takes, just go wherever to see this thing on the big screen. I know I say that a lot, like, please see this movie on the big screen, please see this in theaters, but this one, oh, you have to. It's a film where not only the cinematography is meant to be seen on that scale, but the sound. It's an absolutely beautiful and stunning film that I can't imagine viewing on a phone. Everything about this film from a technical standpoint was absolutely perfect. The way at which this film tells its story is so fragile and beautiful and just surreal. This movie was so powerful to me that it wasn't until I was walking home when the heavy parts of the film really started to hit me. That happened because in the moment when I was in the theater, the filmmaking had me frozen and completely absorbed in what was happening, unable to take me out of that state. This is exactly why I love filmmaking. When a filmmaker is able to use certain techniques that can only be achieved with years of experience and puts them all together just right, almost miraculously, you get something not only incredibly rare, but beautifully immersive. This isn't a film you get to see that often. It's not a film that filmmakers can even aim to make that often. It's something incredibly special and timeless, and Jesus Christ, I really just can't stop talking about it. With all that being said, of course, this is the film of the year. This is one of the best films I've ever seen, and I feel so lucky to have witnessed it in theaters because, mark my words, this will go down as a classic. Well, there you have it, my top 10 films of the year. Also, if you would like to see the full ranked list of all the movies I saw this year, the link to my Letterboxd list is in the description. I hope you all have a safe New Year's Eve. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in 2019.